Hi, this is Mike Hendrix, and today I have two guests from Apparation, Jason Patronas and Mike Dickoff, and this is a Tech Caddy podcast. Mike, Jason, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. We're glad to be here.
We've known each other for several years. Mike, you and I talk a lot, but we've never had you on the podcast. And we'll get into kind of the most recent developments as to why we're doing this. This is like my version of that idiot Dave Portnoy from that school up north that we don't mention on this podcast. This is my version of the emergency podcast because I do, I definitely root for you guys. I'll be really clear with everyone, but there is a timeline to some things. And I do think that you all have reached a place perhaps faster than others. And I thought it would only be fair to kind of timestamp it and have this place in history. And that's really why I pressed you guys to come on right away. You showed me this, 2 days ago?
2 days ago.
2 days ago. Today we're taping. It's Friday, January 16th. And so you showed me this on Wednesday, January 14th. And I just wanted to again, timestamp this thing. So we'll get into that in a minute. How did you guys meet? How did this duo come together in Minnesota?
Well, we both live in Minnesota. We live about 200 miles apart. Instead of Dumb and Dumber, we're cold and colder, I think. I'm in Minneapolis and Jason's in Duluth. And actually, we were introduced by someone who I think you know in the golf industry, Kevin Unterreiner, who manages Twin Cities Golf. And Kevin was looking for some capability that combined the apps I was building that were all about tee time planning and helping people manage their tee times, find people to play with, invite others to play. It's everything you do before you get to the golf course. And Jason had, who is a much better golfer than I am and likes to play competitive games, had built a scorecard that allowed people to manage their scorecard and calculate the results of all their side games. And Kevin was looking for something that combined those two capabilities together. So he introduced us, and we became very fast friends and connected. And by happenstance, we had both built our mobile apps on the same technology platform, so it was actually pretty.
Which was what?
Essentia Touch, which is now EXTJS.
Okay.
It's a really good, robust platform for mobile development, and rest is history.
I do know Kevin Unterreiner. For people that don't know Kevin, and Kevin is, you might know one of his brands, Twin Cities Golf. You would be hard pressed in all of North America to find someone that is more dialed into their local golf community than Kevin Unterreiner is into Minneapolis or Twin Cities golf.
I've looked hard and I haven't been able to find anyone.
Yeah, he is a unique dude. Back in my days at Golf Now, took a run at maybe an acquisition there, but it didn't work out. And but yeah, he's really a unique guy and has built a really cool company. Jason, are you full-time Apparation, Jason, or what are you up to on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, well, Mike and I work very closely together. We talk on the phone a couple times a day, and both have a passion for golf and trying to solve problems for the golfer that hopefully gets them to play more, and operators make more money, and courses make more money, and families get to play, and the game grows. And we all know that golfers need some tools to do these things, and golf has traditionally been slow to adopt some of the technology, and we're kind of here to show that we can bring first-rate technology to the golf industry and expose it to the golf organizations without them having to do all that much. If that trust is going to be a big part of that adoption, and consultants like you who have connections with the vendors to articulate that, you can slowly adopt this stuff and you don't have to be too scared because there are trusted individuals in this industry that understand your pain points.
I think what's most impressive is that you've built this really cool stuff living in an LTE 3G world or something up there in northern Minnesota. Jason, your internet looks amazing for the podcast. But I joke. So listen, for those people that don't know, so SMB Golf, right? We have this data subscription that different technology companies use, and some, big associations. I'll keep the names kind of behind the curtain, but that originated with what was called the IGDB, the Internet. What was it, Mike? Internet Golf or Internet Golfers Database?
Internet Golf Database. Yeah.
Internet Golf Database. So that was the foundation of what we've then gone on to build at SMB Golf, and so lots of credit to Mike Dickoff for doing that. I'm headed to Orlando in a couple days. Monday, I'll go down there, and I'm gonna do some different things, and I'm gonna be with some different vendors and different speaking engagements and whatnot. But I'll tell you, the common theme is certainly AI, right? It's hard right now to even give a presentation in golf where AI isn't included. And of course, for a lot of people that know, like in my background, I think a lot of people's background that watch this podcast, we tend to be drawn towards tee times and golf. And so I think there's a lot of people thinking about AI and tee times and how this whole world is going to work. I think a group of us all spoke about this at TechCon a couple months ago in Frisco, Texas. That was hosted by the NGCOA. And we did it in Frisco, of course, because the PGA of America is headquartered there. And so I was hoping, Jason, that you could show us what you guys have built. You all have a web app today called Primo Tee Times. Mike, why don't you explain, forget about AI for a second, but explain what Primo Tee Times is for golfers and industry people.
Yeah, I guess I would describe Primo as maybe the first or one of the first availability aggregators. So basically, it's a site where a golfer can go and find available tee times across a wide range of golf courses. We're kind of U.S. centric right now, but quick numbers. There are about 11,000 public golf courses in the United States right now, roughly. About 70% of those allow golfers to book tee times online on their websites, and of those 70%, Primo can access availability on over 90%. So if you're looking for but I guess our attitude on Primo is we're trying to help golfers. We're trying to give golfers a convenient tool that helps them play a little more often. And we're trying to help them play wherever the heck they want to play. We don't bias the result. If they want to see tee times near Orlando, Florida, we just show them courses near Orlando, Florida. We show them all the public courses. We let them filter it and sort it and
Mike, you would agree, right? There are other entrepreneurs right now kind of chasing that same thing, right? There's certainly a group of people in golf that have come to realize that some of the more traditional tee time marketplaces, they don't have almost all of the inventory, right? Or even almost all of the available inventory. They actually don't have that. The consumer might kind of by default think they do, but when we dig into the data that we have at SMB Golf, it actually becomes clear that's not even close to accurate today.
Yeah, and in our market here in Minneapolis, St. Paul, where it's the most connected metropolitan area for tee times to the internet in the country. Right, and it's very diverse in terms of the vendors, right?
Sure.
It's very there's no dominant vendor. And I guess the other maybe kind of relevant point as Jay starts to show what we're doing here, it's Primo is not a booking engine. It's an availability engine. Once you find the tee time you want to book, we would direct you to the golf course's tee time booking page to do the booking. So that any transactions that result from this activity are directly between the golfer and the golf course operator. Our little company doesn't have an interest in being a marketplace where we're offering our own hot deals, et cetera. We're really just trying to facilitate the connection of the golfer with the golf course operator.
Yeah, you are very golfer centric, right? I think Jason mentioned it earlier. Part of your ethos is you want to help people play more often, right? And you think that happens through discovery.
Right. Yeah. If we make it a little more convenient, a little more fun to go through these processes, that it will, even avid golfers only play, let's say you play twice a week. During a 6-month golf season here in Minnesota, you're going to play 50 rounds. Well, that means there's 310 days you're not playing. If we can squeeze another round or two out of every golfer, that translates into a substantial amount of fun for golfers and a substantial amount of revenue for the golf course operators.
No question. And I didn't want to gloss over it because I do think it's one of the cooler data points in golf that Minneapolis is the most connected city. What we mean by that is you won't find another metropolitan area with a larger percentage of golf courses that offer their tee times online. And I think over a year ago, Minneapolis hit 100%.
Yeah.
You might, right. And maybe once in a while it waffles back and forth. I think for some of us that are really in the weeds, we know Daytona Golf Club sometimes has tee times available online. Sometimes they don't. Daytona is one of those, it's crazy. If you haven't been in golf like we have, you don't understand how we remember all these names, but we remember these names. So, but anyway, Minneapolis is cool that way, that it's so connected.
And here's another tidbit. Minneapolis, if you look at I tend to think of markets in the U.S. by metro area, Minneapolis, St. Paul. So the cities of Minneapolis, St. Paul, yes, but then the surrounding suburbs. There are 4 vendors that are almost head to head in terms of market share in our market. It's Golf Now, it's Club Profit, it's Lightspeed, and it's 4Up. And 4Up, Lightspeed, and Club Profit all have more customers in the Twin Cities metro than they do in any other metro in the U.S. All 3 of them have their largest customer count here.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah.
Although tough times for Club Profit right now. They just lost the Wilson Golf Group, went to 4Up, and then the Robert Trent Jones Trail left Club Profit and went to Club Caddy. So we've seen real attrition across Club Profit.
Well, that's a good scoop on Wilson. I haven't talked to anybody at Wilson for a while. And they've got several courses here in the Twin Cities. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I think they have one private course. This is how detailed we get on this. Of course, Cross Creek or something with creek in it. And when we were checking the data a couple days ago, that had stayed with Club Profit, I think because it's more of a membership kind of environment, but I could be wrong.
Sense.
I mean, this morning they could have gone to 4Up and I didn't see it in the reports, but anyway, I digress. So Jason, what we were hoping today is that you could show us how you all, and correct me if I get this wrong, you all have taken this Primo Tee Times, which is a web app, right? It's not an app that is in like the iOS store. It's a web app, by the way. SMB Golf is launching a web app, I think, later today, if we get all of our stuff with Firebase figured out. But so I'm with you guys on these web app things. And you've taken that web app and you've essentially put it inside of ChatGPT.
Yes.
And you're waiting for it to go live. But you can show us from a developer mode, you can show us the functionality, exactly how this thing will work it's not we guys, I'm not in on this, but once you guys get approval, what this will look like. And so you guys showed this to me 2 days ago. I thought it was really cool. We have not seen significant progress as it relates to golf and ChatGPT. And so I thought it would be cool for people to take a look at this thing. So if you
one thing we do every morning, Mike, is I open up my chatgpt.com on my browser and I go to apps and I type in golf, and still as of this morning, no, there's nothing there. So we're hoping we certainly expect to be one of the first, if not the first, golf related apps in the ChatGPT. They've only had the store open since December 17th. So this is hot off the presses.
Yeah. And there's probably a lot of people who really don't even know that there's going to be, this app ecosystem for ChatGPT, but all large language models are going to be, platforms are going to have some sort of app store. And it's just like when this iPhone came out, right? It really took off once the App Store ecosystem. Now everyone was personalizing it with their own particular apps, and that's what I think OpenAI is going to do, and Anthropic and the rest of them. And where we got onto this was, obviously with Primo Tee Times, and you mentioned Minneapolis, because it has, so many wonderful public facilities, that it's sometimes difficult to get your head around all the different places that you can play. And if you think that there's one golf course that you're going to go to, and you realize there's really dozens of them, but it's the discovery part is really difficult, right? And so you got to, you Google it, you go find a golf course, then you go find the, book button, and then you got to find the time, then you find out that there's no time window for you. So then you got to do that process again. And so a lot of people just either settle for the tee time that works for them at their particular course, so they don't play a diverse number of courses, even though there's a tremendous amount of them in Minneapolis. And Primo Tee Times came out of that to try and alleviate that problem, to give people a chance to see, all the availability around them and be inspired by, what, I can play golf today. I can play golf tomorrow. I don't know exactly what golf course, but you just showed me all the places that have availability for this day. And now that becomes inspirational to now go and say, I'm going to do this today. And then it's just the process then of picking which golf course and then the tee time. And then you go right directly to the golf course's website to book. And that's important, right? It's intentional to not disrupt that relationship between the golfer and the golf course, right? And that's what we focused on Primo Tee Times. And as an engineer, now in the day of AI, I'm no different than, a lot of people wondering about, I've been building software 30 years now, and I would say, just being able to write software would be enough, to be have a job forever. But I realize that AI is the new piece, and being 30 years into this, I'm able to see the power of how having the background of being a software engineer this long and how AI really helps. And that's where I mentioned to Mike, I said, Mike, there's just so much that we have already by being able to query across different golf courses and different tee sheets. Now it becomes a little bit more clear to say, I want to play golf on Saturday. My son's got a soccer game out west at this location, and I have to tee off by 8 o'clock to get it. Show me the golf courses I can go play at that have availability. Like that's the conversation, as if you're on the phone with your friend or your wife asking about playing golf. You say, you know what? Okay, Jimmy's got a soccer game. Maybe if I tee off before 8 o'clock, I can do that. Well, to do that, you have some discovery, right? There's a lot that you have to do now. And pretty soon you just give up. But imagine that within a few seconds, you can say, you know what? I can play. Now you're on the phone with 3 of your buddies and you're playing a golf course out west that you probably never played. And you got two things. You played golf, and you also were able to get your family time in at the same time. And we know when it comes to scheduling, anytime that we can get these decisions up quicker, the sooner that you'll be able to do, hopefully you can do both, right? And so when it came to AI, Mike, that's the kind of chat interface that is needed. And then when we saw that OpenAI put out an SDK for inline apps.
SDK, software developer kit.
Yes,
for those people that don't know.
Right. And so now they allow you to now within your chat bring up what they're calling a widget. And I said, Mike, I think
why don't you show us as you're saying this, as Jason's doing this, just for context. I have connected in my ChatGPT. I've connected to HubSpot. And so people may not know this, but I can now be in ChatGPT and query my HubSpot data and really just ask ChatGPT to do some things for me that where the functionality doesn't exactly exist organically in HubSpot. ChatGPT can go and do some things for me just to help me do a better job of storytelling with my data, do a better job of visualization with my data. And occasionally ChatGPT will point something out to be about my data that I didn't know.
Yeah. Right.
And so let's see, you're in your ChatGPT here. You've gone to apps, which I see.
Yeah. So this is the app. This is the app store for ChatGPT. There's, some curated, apps that are already in here from some big name brands. They got a little bit of heads up, but Booking.com, Canva. And so if I go to, we've installed ours, and if I, just to show you that it's really the case, here's our Primo Tee Times embedded enabled app. some details here, just showing us some of the information. This is our MCP server. We can go over kind of what that is at some point.
Why don't you maybe just explain? We've talked about MCP servers a little bit on this pod. We talked about it a lot at the Tee Times Summit. Why don't you just briefly explain MCP?
So large language models, like just think of ChatGPT, they are powerful, but they are, fundamentally limited by what they are trained on. And MCP is the bridge that bridges that gap. It lets the AI understand live context and act inside specific domains like golf. So real-time availability, that kind of stuff is LLMs don't really do very well with that. And so an MCP is a way for a third party to give data to an LLM that it can make decisions on. And so we created an MCP server to talk to our Apparation backend, which finds availability, finds golf course directory, and we'll be, adding more features to it. But the discussion goes from the LLM to the MCP, and then back down to the LLM, and hopefully bringing up a rich app that allows the user to start continuing their journey through an embedded app within their chat session.
And you correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but the concept of MCP came from Anthropic, right? And they very similar actually to all of this website schema work that we've been doing at SMB Golf. Really, Anthropic said we need some standardized language here, so that multiple LLMs can actually work through one MCP. And if we have some standardization there, that everything's going to run faster and make more sense. But again, Jason, you can correct me on any of that.
No, yeah, that's exactly right. And hopefully it becomes, they're saying as a standard, but you got big moneyed companies that have influence, and they all want to have their own flavor of things. So
of course,
I think it will shake out over time, but they won't be drastically different, I don't think.
Yeah.
You still need some way of discovering. You still need to teach the LLM, hey, what tools are available to me in this particular context? And so
that's why when you just said different companies and big money, that's why schema.org, again, schema is this language that my company, SMB Golf, that we are injecting into lots and lots of golf course websites to help AI understand the website better. That's why schema.org worked, because it was Microsoft, it was Yahoo, it was Google, and it was Yandex that cooperated together, right, to create schema.org. So they didn't fight and say, no, it should be my version or it should be my version. Those four companies got together to create schema.org. And that's how schema, I think, really got traction.
Yeah. And let's hope that that becomes in this industry
exactly.
as well. And, so we ended up, when we created our MCP server, what you do is you define some tools and you have an interface, and you tell the LLM, once you install the app, the LLM goes, oh, okay, I have this new in my toolbox. I have something golf centric. And we give instructions to the LLM to say, hey, if you're looking for tee times or looking for golf course information, you have a tool that you can communicate through this MCP server that's gives you the context of being a golf-centric information, okay? And so now when I go into my chat, and I think my window is up here right now.
It is.
And I'm going to do, at Primo Tee Times. And I'm going to just say, since it's Orlando PGA show, we're going to do show me courses.
And as you're typing that, the most important thing is that you did have to tell this particular chat, we're querying Primo Tee Times in this chat. You had to do that little connection right there.
Yes, I did. Yeah. So, and that's going to be, I think it's going to be a fairly common idiom.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do with HubSpot. When I want ChatGPT to query my HubSpot data, the first thing I have to do is say at HubSpot. So that's for everybody. Yeah.
And just to be clear, as we sit here right now, if somebody was watching this podcast and they opened up ChatGPT and they tried typing in at Primo, they wouldn't get anything, because right now it's in a developer, sandbox mode where only the quote insiders, they're testing it. But
maybe tomorrow, for the audience, you all have submitted and you're literally just waiting for the approval now. That's the stage you're in. Explain where you are.
We are in pre-submittal right now. I'm still working out. We have some documentation we have to do. There's some screenshots that are needed to, for them to put it in the app store. And so it's some of it there, but functionality wise, we feel really good. And so what you saw here right now is the first, I would say this is the first time anyone's ever seen anything like this, where you, from within a chat, you've summoned up this rich app, which allows you now to scroll as if you're into the web. right? And generated text prior to having this SDK, it became difficult to show larger lists of things because, there's just the context window. And so you're limited and just only showing text. And that becomes a real problem for usability for golfers searching for things. But you see now, just by saying, show me golf courses in Orlando, I was able to bring up this, it's a version of, pretty much Primo Tee Times. And I can bring it up into full screen mode. So now if you have, you got this big screen, you got all these different golf courses, you can scroll through them really easy. You see all the golf course information. These little Primo guys over here these are telling you that we are connected and we can see availability at these golf courses. And you see, we have quite a few golf courses.
That's the 90% I talked about earlier.
So then I'm going to show you something here is interested. This is our, we're going to do a map view. We're going to look at these are some of the courses in Orlando that we just summoned up. Now, it's pretty common to see a map like this on many websites and many apps. What we end up having here is this Primo button here. So these are just about 50 golf courses in Orlando. And when you tap on the Primo button, what you're noticing now is you're going to start to see these numbers show up in here, right? These numbers are the availability at those golf courses right now.
Today.
And your date is set up in the top left there, correct?
Yeah, so this is Friday. So now if I'm just someone looking to think about playing golf, I can say, God, there's a lot of places I can play. Yeah, I got one down here and 25 here. And I might not be interested. Of what course it is. I just want to know I can play.
Yep.
Right. That's the biggest part. Yes, we can choose the date. So, just to kind of show some of the power here, I'm going to choose the 17th tomorrow. Now it becomes like, yes, we can play. And then I can go to, one of these tabs here or these and, just, tap on it. And here's those tee times. I can scroll through these tee times and I say, oh, the 950s looks pretty good. And I come right here. We have, a little, placard for the golf course. And then
let me ask you on that. It looks like you've got some golf course detail in there. Obviously, you've got the logo, but you've got some golf course detail in there. What's your source of information for that?
So it's our golf course database. So this is all coming from the Apparation Golf Course database. Yep.
Mike, what's the source for the Apparation Golf Course database?
IGDB.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you also pull in some information directly from obviously SMB Golf gets information directly from the golf course website. Yeah. I guess the point I'm trying to make is, again, the golf course website ends up being the source of truth for the golf course. And if the golf course website isn't maintained properly, as a golf course operator, you're going to have erroneous information making its way out onto the web, into AI models, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Yeah. The other secret sauce, in this underlying data is that in our database for each golf course is, not only things like the name of the golf course, the address, the number of holes, the scorecard data, but also some very specific data in terms of, this is a course that uses 4UP for its booking engine. And within the 4UP system, here's the 4UP course ID and the 4UP, there's 3 attributes for 4UP that you need in order to properly query for availability. So there's that whole infrastructure of data, which is different for each of the 15 different tee sheet systems that we can currently query.
Jason, what else you want to show us here?
I'm going to show you. So this is bringing up, a course list, and then we end up finding, the tee times. What we're going to do is do another search here. I'm going to do, I'm just going to ask to show me tee times.
Perhaps the worst internet resolution we've had in the history of the Tech Caddy podcast.
One thing that is interesting that we're wrestling with is, if you do that same query in the web app, you have an instant response. So there is overhead in the AI engines that I'm sure will be fine-tuned over time, but it is for someone that has used the web app, you get in here and you go, holy cow, why is this taking so long?
Yeah, it's again, the LLM is trying to figure out what you're trying to do. It then has instructions to go find course information or go find tee times. So here I asked for my tee times. These are those tee times that we ended up looking at in we did Orlando. I'm going to open this up into full screen mode. So here's real-time information of golf courses in Orlando. There's 20 of them, but look at what we see here. We see the count of how many tee times are available. We see the tee sheet vendor. Very important is to give attribution to them because it is theirs. It's the system that we're drawing from, and you end up saying Easy Sweet, Tee It Up, 4Up, Chrono, all within different golf courses.
Everybody at these companies is dropping their coffee mug right now as they watch this.
The thing is, this is just a layer for the golfer. We ultimately take you to the tee sheet and the course.
Sure.
Yeah,
No, listen, I do think everyone needs to, take a relax pill for a second here from these tee sheet guys. And, some of these tee sheet guys are talking about all this security and this and that. Look, there's a bunch of developers like Mike and Jason out there. They're just trying to help golfers play more golf. Okay. And that means more money for golf courses. And from the seat that I'm in the industry, I would say these tee sheet companies should actually want to support you guys more. They should make it easy for you guys. If you're just an availability engine,
that's
right?
It.
You're not trying to take a golfer away from a golf course. I don't think any of that is contemplated in what you guys do.
No.
I do think if these tee sheet guys could just hit pause for a second, take your phone call, give you a couple endpoints or something. It's not that big a deal, guys.
We'll be making the rounds in Orlando next week just to clarify, for all of them what we're doing. But for what it's worth, there isn't a single golf course operator that had to lift a finger to enable this to happen. And there isn't a single golf course management software company that had to lift a finger to make this happen. We haven't required them to do anything out of the ordinary. So yeah, I guess what we're hoping that there are some barriers we had to fight our way around to get through some security layers that. I guess the other thing I'd say is at least the way we've engineered this right now, the only time we go hit a golf course website to get availability is when a golfer wants to see it. We're not pounding them relentlessly every 30 times a minute to maintain a cache.
For people that don't know, that is a topic that comes up a lot.
Yeah.
Where the tee sheet vendor, even maybe the booking engine vendor, but the tee sheet vendor will say, well, you're banging my servers left and right. You're costing me more money. This is not optimal for our business. That's why I don't support this. That's not what you guys do. You only do that upon request. And that's just the same as a golfer making a tee sheet request.
Yes. And it's been intentional to do that. It's been intended to, we set this out to make sure that they understand that we totally understand the challenges that they have. We understand they didn't want to have to do anything, right? Yeah. They don't need to set anything up. Don't need any special APIs. And look at what we've been able to provide. You don't want to be the golf course that's not on here because your tee sheet said no, especially since there's nothing that we've asked you to do other than, if people want to find availability, we take you to your website, maybe promote primoteetimes.com. But if these are my favorite golf courses, and I have them, now I want to play, I just switched now to the 17th. You get to see in real time here now. This is our moonwalk moment for golf. Once you see it and you use it, it's going to be very difficult to want to go back and use Google again, right? Things change after you see something along transformational like this. And this is what golfers are expecting there should be out here because you see it in other industries, right?
That's right.
You can go across it. And what we're trying to do is we want, the vendors to know that we understand their problems. We understand the challenges. And again, we're not costing them, $15,000 a month because we're a rogue scraper. And it's going to only increase because, you're going to get some of these journeymen, using AI to build these scrapers to do other things. But we're not going to be that company. We're trying to use your existing web technology, your existing websites to power this.
Yeah.
And by all means, you don't want to be the golf course whose, tee sheet vendor, put up a lot of, roadblocks for your course to be found on Primo. Because I do believe if golfers find it, they will stick with this.
After the PGA show, I think what you'd want to see is many of these technology companies sit down with their leadership group and say, look, we need to define a policy of how we're going to work with all of these different people, right? And it should, in my opinion, just my humble opinion, that policy shouldn't be, I'm just going to shut everything down and I'm going to build the Berlin Wall or something. You shouldn't look at it that way. Look, have we come across a couple bad actors in golf? We have. Do we want to dismiss the fact that that costs some people a lot of money? No, we don't. Again, from my seat, I don't mean we with you guys.
Yeah.
But companies like whoever, a Club Profit, a 4Up, or whatever, they can figure out policies that make room for developers like you guys to go run and build really cool things that helps golfers and golf courses, and yet at the same time have some protection in place so that bad actors can't do bad things.
Right. Mike's been talking about for years with me that there should be a Tee Time Federation. There really should be some entity that has, on the board is, somebody from each one of these tee sheets. Like they should get together and there should be some
I think that's what the Tee Time Summit was, Jason, but not even in the Tee Time Summit environment. Again, that was hosted by the NGCOA. Even there, you've got, egos, whatever you want to say, like why some people don't want to participate in the Tee Time Summit is beyond me. It really, to me, is a message of, because we don't care about how this might affect our customer. We don't care about if there's other smart people in the industry. We don't care about anything except ourselves, right? And that's, you can have that approach, but over time, the market's going to speak.
Right. Well,
it's
already coming.
Something like that. I think that's obviously everybody's individual choice. But at some point, you're going to wake up and you're going to say, I wish I had been a little more cooperative.
Yeah, I think
it's
that's
already
right.
here.
In a previous life, I spent a couple of decades working in the airline industry in technology, airline reservation technology. And, the travel industry has very sophisticated infrastructure in place to share data across companies that are arch enemies. Those airlines hate each other, but they cooperate when it comes to data because they know it's good for business and good for consumers. And it wouldn't take, but we've actually created kind of a blueprint for what we think a handful of industry APIs might be that could really kind of smooth the path here. And we'll be socializing that with the tee sheet companies here over the coming weeks and months. And I know, Mike, that might be something SMB Golf, that kind of a honest broker, maybe could play a role in, because you can't have something like that run by one of the tee sheet companies because none of the other ones will trust it.
Right. Right.
So yeah, there's definitely opportunity there. Yeah. The other thought I'd throw in here on this topic is back to the concern that tee sheet companies have about, people bombarding their sites with requests. I'm of the generation that remembers what it was like when I wrote my first program on a computer that had 16K of memory. When I started buying disk drives for our Navitaire airline reservation software business in 1993, a gigabyte of disk storage cost $1,000. So I'm sort of always very, very careful about the computing resources we're using. And some of the younger developers I've worked with kind of laughed at me, like, Mike, you don't have to worry about that anymore. Well, I think you always have to worry about it. And then you look at the literally hundreds of billions of dollars being spent now for these AI data centers. And I think it's important that we manage those computing resources carefully and enable these AI engines to be as efficient as they can be. So you want to see a list of golf courses within 50 miles of any major city in the US? Well, you could ask an AI engine to do that, and it could crawl around the internet for a minute and consume a whole bunch of resources to do it, or it could make a very efficient API call to an API that's got the answer and could deliver it in a microsecond without hardly consuming any resources.
Yeah. And I'm not even so sure, Jason, I'm going to surprise you here with a requested prompt, but I'm not even so sure, Mike, that it's about API as much anymore, right? You all just would like some standardization with parameters, make it easy for us to pull a date up, a time within that date. I think that type of thing. Like, I don't know that all of this stuff always has to be about APIs, but you guys are
if we could get a deep link that if you click on, the 136 Tee Time, it takes them right into the booking engine.
Right. Why in the world all these guys wouldn't just create a public deep link opportunity for any developer that wants it? I don't quite understand. But look, I'm not that smart a guy. Okay, Jason, Here,
So I just want to bring on the topic of scraping and the resources that each one of these tee sheet vendors, and they do, it's a legitimate cost. And if it's $10,000 to $15,000 a year, that's a large number of customers
A month.
revenue a month.
yes.
Right. So if this is available, right, there's a reason why people are out there scraping, because there's a need, right? There's a need for somebody to go and do it. Now, if they lean into one or two availability engine aggregators, right, then the need for that becomes even less. And so that means that across the board.
Yep. But see what just happened right there? Let me just be Mr. Newt. See what just happened right there? You just said one or two available aggregators. Really, if everybody can like set themselves aside for a second, it should be any availability aggregator, right? Why do they have to just pick one or two?
Yeah. I just point out that, right now you're seeing, this is real. This is happening, right?
Yeah. All right. So Jason, can we do this? Can you type this in exactly? Obviously I want you to use Primo Tee Times for it. Find me the best tee times in Nashville, Tennessee.
Using Primo?
Yes. I want to see what happens if we put that in a chat.
Well, we have some instructions that are okay. Show me tee time in Nashville.
Yeah, but I said best. I'm curious to see what happens when we say, show me the best tee times.
Okay. The demo gods are going to be.
So for everybody watching, they had no idea I was going to ask them to do this. Loading. Well, I mean, that's kind of part of the point here. I've pulled top available tee times within 30 miles of Nashville, Tennessee for a 4-player group using Primo Tee Times. You should now see the best price. So ChatGPT price. You've now seen the best priced and most playable options across popular Nashville area golf courses. There you go.
Yep. So then let me go back into full screen. So you see here now, I think these are all, I'm not Nashville, but if you pulled them up on Cedar Crest Golf Course, actually you do this. I'll tell you, go to Cedar Crest Golf Course, Hendrix. It's powered by Club Caddy, and go and see for today if there's 20 tee times available.
But keep scrolling across, Jason.
Why can't we talk about Franklin Bridge? That's a famous golf course. That's a big time NGCOA guy. Why can't we talk about what happened at Franklin Bridge that gave us no tee times?
They don't have they don't have tee times.
Try tomorrow. Try tomorrow. Flip it to tomorrow. Keep flipping.
Let me see.
I mean, it is possible. It is possible. I mean, remember
they have one. They have one on the 18th.
There's one.
Franklin Bridge is just an incredibly busy golf course. Good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're a golf course operator, you should be looking at this going like, what is Franklin Bridge doing that I'm not?
Yeah, and Franklin Bridge, I just pulled it up on another browser. So that they use Lightspeed. It's an awesome looking website. And well, let me open up their booking engine, see the difference. So if I go to tomorrow, you got 0 inventory.
I got one on.
Now this was for 4 players. So if you ask,
I'm doing 4 players. Yeah, no tee times found. So so it's
Bingo.
the same experience whether you went through Primo ChatGPT or you went directly to Franklin Bridge's website. He just is sold out for Saturday.
Yeah, and he's got one on the 18th that I have.
That's awesome.
So now, I mean, you had some wonderful Google engineers on one of your podcasts they were watching. They weren't at this point able to go across vendors. They were all right. And so what we're seeing here now is, real live working software. It's not vaporware. We are a small company, and we understand this environment very well. And if we can do anything else to try and help others in the industry to adopt this technology, this is what golfers want, and this is what they're looking for. And we're hopefully to get some trusted partners to help us bring it more to market.
Yeah, and Mike, I know you've got kind of a diverse audience that watches the podcast, but we could use some. Again, we're a small team, just sitting here in our houses in Minnesota, cranking away on this stuff, and we could use some help from some golfers around the country who can help us, really optimize this user experience.
Yeah, so that means you're looking for beta testers, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And we're looking for early adopter, golf courses that don't mind maybe being on the leading edge of some new technology to work with us again to optimize this for best experience. And then as we've discussed a couple times, we are definitely hoping that the golf course management software companies will collaborate with us to create great experiences for golfers and more business for golf course operators.
Yeah.
So I'm just going out to Primo Tee Times here. So we're trying to figure out ways where we can provide sponsorship. These are some local companies that.
All right, enough with the selling. Okay, we got it, Jason. We got it.
I just want to show you Primo Tee Times.
Yeah,
Well, that did kind of raise one interesting point, though, that maybe people would be interested in, is when we took Primo and we stuffed it into or embedded it into the chat, we did have to make some changes. So, for example, all those sponsors that were scrolling across the top of the screen, we removed those because we're not sure what the rules of the game are within chat right now. They made it pretty clear they didn't want pop-up ads. We thought, well, maybe they don't want any ads at all, so we neutered it, but by just hiding certain pieces. So I mean, that's part of what generated the effort level on creating the ChatGPT version of this, is we had to make some changes. Yeah.
It's very cool that you guys gave us such an early look at this. From my perspective, I'm just super interested to understand how long will it take for you guys to go live. And not that that's up to you, right? This working through this process with ChatGPT, because what's frankly interesting to me is, are they going to favor the biggest companies in golf first, or are they just going to favor the people that raise their hands first, right? And followed the rules, so to speak. And we don't know. We don't know the answer to that question. But if nothing else,
we could probably guess that money will have something to do with it.
Hopefully it's not pay for play. There's too much pay for play in our industry anyway. And you know who suffers because of that? The golf course owner suffers. And the golfer suffers.
Yeah.
So,
and LLMs don't work very well with bias. They really are meant to be really answer engines, and not that they can't be tweaked to fit that model, but they really try and seek the most reliable, accurate data. And if our MCP becomes that, where you want to find tee times and you don't have to install an app, that it just becomes embedded within the OpenAI LLM or in Claude from Anthropic. And any person who says, hey, show me tee times in Nashville, the best with the same prompt that you did, and then said, but I need to play between 9 and 10 o'clock, right? So that we have the time, we're going to tweak it so we can put a time window, right? So that makes it even easier. So you narrow it down. You don't have to go through 50 different golf courses. You'll see the 10 that may have tee times for that particular. And then hopefully you're clicking and you're booking right on the website within a matter of seconds.
And I do want to just kind of double back on Franklin Bridge, or, if you own Franklin Bridge, if you're Brooks West or whomever, whatever golf course is up here, this should not freak you out. Okay. It's simply another way for people to discover your purchasable tee times. I struggle with the concept of no, don't do this. You have to find my domain somehow. I don't advise that. I believe that this wouldn't cost Franklin Bridge any money. Correct.
Yeah, and remember, our end goal is if they want to play your courses, to bring them to your website to book.
That's right.
It's just another way of getting someone to your website.
That's right. Look, on some level, not to be too old, but God knows I am, it's just an interactive version of the Yellow Pages, for God's sake, right? And everybody was in the Yellow Pages. So let's not get too freaked out about these new experiences. I think that they're going to lead to more money for golf course owners. And I think that that's a good thing.
When golfers find availability faster, they're going to play more golf.
We have done some work with some local golfers here. We had Primo web app, up and running back in September when our golf courses here were still open. And there is an organization here that it's a very large membership program with 150 golf courses that participate in it. So they have a lot of nomadic golfers that move from course to course, and they may play 50 times a year, and they'll play 20 different golf courses. And they, I hope you don't consider this too much selling now, but they raved about the capability because it was so much easier and more convenient than hopping around from website to website to website.
Yeah.
We talked about the uniqueness of the Minneapolis-St. Paul market. We happen to be a market where Golf Now is present here, but they aren't dominant here. And therefore, if you go to golfnow.com, in a lot of metro areas where they're dominant, you see pretty much not every golf course, but
Mike,
here it's not
go
even
ahead and
close.
stop sharing there, Jason. Mike, how many metros are they dominant in? There's not too many anymore.
Well, Phoenix, throughout Florida, pretty
Orlando.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's a few.
It is diminishing for sure. It is slowly but surely diminishing.
And we know that through this data we're tracking. So
yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, we got to go. We went. I'm almost worried we went over time, but thank you for showing this. Congratulations. I think it's really cool what you guys have built. I have no idea how you're going to make any money on this, but I know that for a lot of developers, they kind of figure that out next. And so you've built this cool thing. I am fingers crossed that it gets approved by ChatGPT and goes live. And I thank you for your time and thank you for coming on the podcast and showing it to us.
We appreciate the platform. Thanks a lot, Mike.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. All right. So that's Mike Dickoff, Jason Patronas, Apparation. Really cool stuff they've built here, and we're rooting for them on behalf of the Tech Caddy. Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Mike.